Mike Dunleavy Jr. is doing everything he can to give Stephen Curry another shot at a championship with the Golden State Warriors. Both Curry and Draymond Green have brought 4 banners to the Bay Area and will be hoping for a 5th before calling time on their careers. However, Curry and Green are aging stars in the NBA. As such, Dunleavy cannot build the same type of team that dominated during the earlier years of their careers. Jimmy Butler has already joined the franchise, adding some rim pressure and perimeter defense to the mix. The front office must now find a viable big man to help anchor the paint and control the glass. Nevertheless, the Warriors shouldn't feel like they're too under pressure to win in the coming season. Sure, Curry is drawing closer to retirement, but according to his dad, Del Curry, that decision is still a while away. I think it'll come down to not necessarily his skill or what he can do in a game in the season. I think it's a matter of, can he go through the rigors of preparing himself to play in an NBA season? I know when I retired, that was a big factor, Del Curry told DJ Sidky of RG. He still loves the game. He's a competitive guy. He wants to win another title, so we're not even close to that window yet. But when the time comes, I think he'll make the right decision. Curry played in 70 games last season, averaging 24.5 points for 0.4 rebounds and 6 assists. He shot 44.8% from the field and 39.7% from three-point range. Curry's skill means he can play for years to come. During the same interview, Del Curry explained why the Warriors' star could continue to play deep into his 40s. However, Steph Curry would likely need to accept a role change at some point. Absolutely, just because he can shoot the basketball, and he's going to require attention, Del Curry told Siddiqui. Even if you put him in the corner at 41 years old, you have to guard him. That means that he's creating space for other guys around him. If you can shoot the basketball, there's a team that can use you in today's NBA. But if you're Steph Curry, I think you're going to be able to play until you say, I'm done. Both Curry and Green have skill sets that can circumvent the aging process to a degree. Nevertheless, it's unlikely we'll see them overstay their welcome in the NBA. In fact, another championship run could expedite their decision to bow out of the league. Warriors may need to trade Kuminga. It's clear that Golden State needs to upgrade its big man rotation. However, according to ESPN's Bobby Marks, that could mean parting ways with Jonathan Kuminga, as re-signing him would remove the franchise's flexibility this summer. It all depends on Kuminga, Marks said via the Willard and Dibbs show. He basically controls free agency in Golden State. If they sign him to a contract and bring him back, then that's really it as far as what they can do in the offseason. Given Kuminga's inconsistent role within Steve Kerr's rotation and the desire to contend in the short term, Kuminga could be allowed to leave for the right price. Whether that happens in free agency or in the coming years will remain to be seen. As the Golden State Warriors enter the offseason, perhaps their biggest and most pressing priority is to either re-sign or find an appropriate return in a sign-and trade for restricted free agent Jonathan Kuminga. In a mock trade proposed by Fadeaway World, the Warriors, in a 3-team deal, would find an excellent return for the young forward, looping in both the Brooklyn Nets and the Los Angeles Lakers and receiving Dorian Finney-Smith, Dalton Knecht, and the 55th overall pick in the upcoming draft. In the deal, the Lakers would receive both Kuminga and Nets center Nick Claxton, and the Nets would receive Rui Hachimura, Jared Vanderbilt, and the Lakers' 2031 first-round pick. Through the deal, Golden State would fill 2 of their biggest needs, gaining a dynamic young player with high offensive upside in the process, and, if such a price for Kuminga is ultimately reasonable, fans of the team should be ecstatic. A 3-team deal could net the Warriors the best return for Kuminga. Kuminga, who averaged 15.3 points for 0.6 rebounds and 2.2 assists through 47 games last season, will likely command a contract in the $25 million annual value range. While his upside and athleticism is immense, it is unlikely that the Warriors, who owe a substantial amount to their veteran trio of Stephen Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green over the next 2 seasons, will be willing to give Kuminga the payday that he is seeking. Therefore, if Golden State is to look to trade Kuminga, they have 2 approaches they can take. They can either seek out a trade for another star and a bona fide third scoring option, or they can pursue a trade for multiple pieces that will help solidify their roster. In the case of this trade proposal, Dorian Finney-Smith, who averaged 8.7 points on 41.1% three-point shooting last season with both the Nets and the Lakers, would present both a veteran presence and a major upgrade over the Warriors' current pieces on the wing. Dalton Knecht, who the Lakers have already shown a willingness to deal, would bring a dynamic young shooter in Golden State's fold, also filling a backcourt need with a cheap roster spot for the time being. Through 72 games last season, Knecht shot 37.6% from deep on limited volume, but he projects as a major shooter as he develops. Since the Warriors are over the cap, and Kuminga's monetary value in a sign-in trade can only equal half of his contract, a three-team deal, especially with two teams as in need of scoring as the Nets and Lakers, could present the franchise with the best return for their biggest asset this offseason. While this deal is purely hypothetical, it appears to present a reasonable return for all teams involved, and thus should give fans hope that Kuminga could fetch a similar return. One of the Golden State Warriors' biggest foes has executed the first blockbuster trade of the offseason, with the Memphis Grizzlies sensationally sending Desmond Bane out east to the rising Orlando Magic. As first reported by ESPN's Shams Charania on Sunday, the Magic have paid a heavy price to acquire the 26-year-old Bane for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Cole Anthony, 4 unprotected first-round picks, and 1 first-round pick swap. While people can argue for weeks and months on who won the trade, there's a prevailing thought that comes to mind when it comes to the Warriors. Could this open the window for them to make a dream addition in the form of Jaren Jackson Jr.? A Jaren Jackson Jr. to Warriors trade may now be realistic. There's already been some speculation on Jackson's future this offseason given he's extension eligible and has just 1 year left on his contract. Yet that could now only intensify further in the wake of the Bane trade, with Ja Morant's future in Memphis also set to create headlines. Reporting in the wake of the Bane trade, NBA insider Mark Stein laid out the intrigue now surrounding Morant and Jackson that will potentially reverberate around the league in the coming days and weeks. Is Memphis still as committed to its star guard and Jaren Jackson Jr. as it once seemed? Do the Grizzlies suddenly have interest in a rebuild or a retooling? These are questions bouncing around 29 other front offices as we speak, even though a renegotiation and extension of Jackson's contract has long been viewed as the Grizzlies' top offseason priority, Stein wrote on Sunday. So while it may remain likely that Jackson signs extension with the Grizzlies, there is the possibility for the Warriors to at the very least explore what is going on in Memphis right now and whether they can capitalize on the situation. Jackson has been a power forward for the majority of his career, but at 6 feet 10 inches and as the NBA's Defensive Player of the Year 2 years ago, Golden State would probably experiment with him as a 5 next to Draymond Green in the front court. Not only would that duo make for a menacing defensive combination, but Jackson would be a perfect complementary scorer to Stephen Curry and Jimmy Butler. The 25-year-old averaged 22.2 points and 5.6 rebounds this season, shooting an efficient 48.8% from the floor and 37.5% from three-point range. To top things off, Jackson's $23.4 million deal on the final year of his contract is manageable for Golden State to meet, unlike some of the more expensive options who would require relinquishing one of Butler or Green. The downside? The Grizzlies would clearly set an exorbitant price if the Bane trade is anything to go by, and there will be no shortage of suitors for Jackson, even if the 1 year left on his deal does reduce the price a little. Regardless, it's something the Warriors should absolutely be exploring and would fill their need for more size and shooting this offseason, while also improving an already elite defense.